Okay, let's say what you really want to do is direct. You've gone to the film school, you've honed your chops in the TV industry for a couple of years, and now, at last, you're ready to make your movie. You've even got a script. It's a modern, edgy story about love and monogamy and casual sex. It's a comedy that will speak to your generation. And it's going to be great, if only you can raise the cash. Now, that was the scenario facing Casey Walker. But when it came to raising the big funds he needed to make the film, Casey chose not to throw himself on the mercy of Telefilm, the federally supported funding body behind a lot of the filmmaking in Canada. Instead, he decided to look for private support from individual investors. He created a website, mymilliondollarmovie.com, offering visitors the opportunity to spend $10 and buy a single frame of his film in exchange for future assistant producer credit in the future movie. Casey joins me now to explain. Hi, Casey.
Hi, Lori.
Okay, let's see. At 24 frames per second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many potential frames are we talking about
Just
here?
over 140,000 frames.
And how many have you sold so far?
Right before coming in, I checked the website. There was 17,995 as of this morning.
So how much money have you got?
Almost $180,000.
Wow. All right, I've explained sort of the general gist of it, but can you get a little further into what exactly you give your investors and what they can expect?
Well, they're not investors. They're my producers. When you buy a frame in mymilliondollarmovie.com, you are purchasing a physical frame of the final print of the movie. With that, you have the right to upload video and photo to my website. You can link your website or add your email, so you get traffic to your website. You can use it for advertising. You receive a credit in the film as a producer, not only on the website, but in the final film itself. And should we turn a profit, you will rent that frame back to me, and the rental cost is equivalent to the amount of frames you own.
So if the movie gets made and it's got a distributor, that means then that you have to lease your film back from your associate producers.
Exactly.
To be able to play it. But do they
No. They own a physical piece of the final print.
Right.
I didn't want to become a public company.
Mm-hmm.
That would just be disastrous. I'm only trying to raise $1 million and become a public company. It's about $700,000 to file, so wouldn't leave me with too much. So we had to come up with a way to essentially get around that. I'm not trying to undercut anybody. It's just I don't want to be a public company. I'm just a filmmaker trying to make a movie. So the physical property that you purchase, you get to you choose to rent that back to me. If you don't want to, I will snip those frames out of that print and send them back to you.
Oh,
that's
I
it. That's
see.
all. It's just a simple rental contract in the end.
Oh,
you have a physical property. We're not dealing with intangible stock pieces of paper. Like, if you want that, I'll put it in a frame. You're basically you're helping fund the first feature film in history over the internet. So that's a piece of history you could pass down to your grandchildren.
What are the people that are sending you their $10? What are they telling you? Why is it that they're doing it for you?
The majority, they want to be part of something new, part of something different. They believe in me. It started with a lot of friends and family when we did a soft launch back in January, and it flowed really fast. So when we did our full launch in May, it just spread around the planet. We went to 18 countries. People were very supportive. They not only send their $10. Some people buy on a weekly basis when they get their paycheck. Others throw me $1,000 and say good luck. Others are emailing me daily with ideas on how to promote the project. It's almost been overwhelming, and keeping on top of it's been a lot of fun.
Wow. Tell me about the story. What's the short synopsis of the script you want to make?
The film is entitled Free for All But You. It's a romantic comedy in which two guys fall for a girl who's already committed to 6 other people.
Right. It's a pornographic film, Casey.
Not at all. If listeners or other producers want to see I did a short film last year that got into 40 international film festivals, and I won a couple of awards. And it's not the same subject matter, but you can see my style of filmmaking. I don't think it's necessary to be graphic and to show graphic nudity or graphic sex in order to get the message across.
Well, if it's not pornographic and it's kind of a romantic comedy, why wouldn't you simply go through the regular channels that most Canadian filmmakers do? Why wouldn't you go to Telefilm and ask for funding?
I have nothing against Telefilm. They do a lot for our country, and a lot of films wouldn't get made without them. However, I've seen a lot of my friends apply, spend months putting applications together, and they're asked to, this is different, maybe change this and reapply again. Or it becomes kind of a studio system, like in the States, where the film that you wanted to make can kind of get chewed up and spit out in a different way, just because in order to get the funding, you have to make the changes they want you to do.
But do you think that's true with Telefilm too, that they'll ask you to make aesthetic changes?
It's just like a studio, and they're not as drastic as American studios, but at the end of the day, they're a crown corporation that needs to turn a profit as well. So they have small control over what the film becomes.
I think it's interesting, though, that here is a process available to you to be able to use to make your movie, and you choose not to even try. That shows that there must be a great sense of feeling that there's no point.
Well, we have access to the tax credits through the country, so we saw in our budget there was plenty of money available for that there, because it's a Canadian story. It takes place in Montreal. It's going to be all Canadian cast. I'm a Canadian director. It's Canadian writer, so we get all our CanCon points. So that's quite a bit of money right there. The Telefilm money and the process, I wanted to just get into starting to make the movie. I didn't want to go through that further financing development. I came up with MyMillionDollarMovie.com, and in a lot of ways it's the same process kind of as going through Telefilm, because I'm raising money, except I'm doing it in a different way. And for me, it's more interesting than filling out a whole lot of forms, mailing them in, and crossing my fingers.
But doing anything for the first time is difficult. I mean, you must run into huge legal implications of trying to do this. This
idea started 2 years ago with the website, and we didn't rush it. We launched a test site again for friends and family, and just to see if the concept worked, and got a lot of really good feedback that helped us develop the new site. But a big part of it was the legal, because not wanting to be a public company and making sure that we weren't stepping on anyone's toes, that it was costly financially. I had to work a lot of extra shifts to pay off those bills, but it's worth it. And I didn't want to have stuff come back to haunt me when I was making my movie. The last thing I wanted was the rug to be pulled out from underneath me right in the middle of my dream. So,
do you have friends that are in the same situation you are? People out there wanting to make films who feel the same way that you do about Telefilm?
I don't know if they feel the same way I do, because I don't have any deep hatred for Telefilm.
But I mean, just avoiding
wrong.
It, just taking it out of your scenario as a possibility.
I think I've started to inspire some people that were kind of hopeless, that wanted to make their films but didn't want to go up against Telefilm. Not up against, but to go through the process. I think there's certain restraints that Telefilm has in place, that they don't know producers that have a track record. Getting a distributor could be very difficult in this country as well. So these were things that I at first was afraid of, but now that I've developed what's a viable business model and is proving itself to work every day, that I'm going to be able to show a distributor that I have raised the money. And not only of that, I've built in an audience that's already going to want to see the film. Mm-hmm. There's people interested in this. We're generating buzz not just before, well before the movie's made. And then the movie's made, and then there's a campaign, and it's so much of a bigger process now that will draw more attention. And in the end, you need to market your film, and here's a great way to do it.
Exactly. But at the same time, you're avoiding having to compete with the Agoyans and the Cronenbergs looking for the same Telefilm.
Right now, I couldn't compete with them. I hope later on in the future I can compete head to head with them. But no, they're the seasoned vets, and I think it's a little frustrating, because these gentlemen are remarkable filmmakers. And amazing storytellers, and for them to have to keep going back to the trough, I think for young filmmakers is very frustrating, because you wonder, well, do these guys have to die for other people to step in? And that's really unfortunate to say that, but these gentlemen should be able to go to this. They do fund their films. They make huge budget movies, but they're still taking a chunk out of the pie. And I know we're supporting Canadian culture, but they've now reached a level where I think it's time to move on. And I'm not saying give me the money, but I know a lot of very talented filmmakers who are more talented than I am that don't have a business sense. And I'm not the most business savvy. I've just figured out a way. But they'll never get that chance because they can't move on. There's something that's always going to be blocking them.
Well, people will find a way.
Yeah,
and you're finding a way. But now the question is, what's the plan for the movie? Are you really going to make the movie? If you don't make the $1 million, are you going to say, oh, I can't make it then? Like, what's the plan?
We have 3 budgets: the extremely low budget, the target budget, and the, oh my God, this is an amazing out of control success and people want to give us millions of dollars. The film will get made regardless. We've been raising money, and our target goal to start shooting is $600,000, which is very reasonable, especially with the draw that the site's starting to pull. From then on, we can start shooting. Money keeps rolling in after that. We start into post-production. We finish the film, and we're going to start speaking with distributors in the next couple of weeks. So the process moves quite quickly. I think I've developed something that's getting attention, and I think that's the most important part when you want to raise money.
You know what? You might be getting the phone calls from the Ogoians and Cronenberg saying, can you take me through this system and see how it works?
Well, after I've proved that this is viable, I want to give the opportunity to other filmmakers that are in the same shoes that I was a year or two ago. I think it's a brilliant opportunity, and our long-term business model is to create an online studio where producers can choose to buy into the films they want, not just a romantic comedy right now, but we'll launch a drama, a comedy, a western, an action, maybe a horror. So you have the option to go after the films that you're interested in, not just the one that I'm making right now.
Well, best of luck with this. This sounds really fascinating.
Thanks very much.
And if you want to check it out, you need to go to mymilliondollarmovie.com. I've been talking to Casey Walker, the Toronto filmmaker behind this bold